U.S. giant Microsoft last week warned that Chinese state-sponsored hackers had compromised critical U.S. cyber infrastructure across numerous industries with a focus on gathering intelligence. The Chinese hacking group, codenamed Volt Typhoon, has operated since mid-2021, Microsoft said in an advisory. The organization is apparently working to disrupt critical communications infrastructure between the United States and Asia, Microsoft said, to stymie efforts during future crises. The National Security Agency put out a bulletin last Wednesday, detailing how the hack works and how cybersecurity teams should respond. In the advisory, Microsoft urged impacted customers to close or change credentials for all compromised accounts. U.S. intelligence agencies became aware of the incursion in February, around the same time that a Chinese spy balloon was downed in the Atlantic after crossing the continental United States. A Chinese spokesperson claimed that the report was part of a coordinated campaign from the Five Eyes Intelligence Sharing Alliance, which is made up of agencies from Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the US. The infiltration was focused on communications infrastructure in Guam and other parts of the US, The Times reported, and was particularly alarming to US intelligence because Guam sits at the heart of an American military response in case of an invasion of Taiwan. Volt Typhoon is able to infiltrate organizations using an unnamed vulnerability in a popular cybersecurity suite called FortiGuard, Microsoft said. Once the hacking group has gained access to a corporate system, it steals user credentials from the security suite and uses them to try to gain access to other corporate systems. The state-sponsored hackers aren't looking to create disruption yet, Microsoft said. Rather, the threat actor intends to perform espionage and maintain access without being detected for as long as possible. Infrastructure in nearly every critical sector has been impacted, Microsoft said, including the communications, transport, and maritime industries. Government organizations were also targeted. Chinese government-backed hackers have targeted critical and sensitive information from U.S. companies before. Covington & Burling, a prominent law firm, was breached by suspected Chinese state-sponsored hackers in 2020. In a Thursday editorial, the Chinese state-backed paper China Daily dismissed Microsoft's analysis and the intelligence community warnings as political propaganda. In a joint statement with international and domestic intelligence services, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency warned that Chinese attacks pose a continued risk to American intellectual property. For years, China has conducted aggressive cyber operations to steal intellectual property and sensitive data from organizations around the globe, CISA Director Jen Easterly said in a statement. This comes as University College Berkeley has failed to disclose to the U.S. government massive Chinese state funding for a highly sensitive $240 million joint tech venture in China that has been running for the last 8 years. The Californian University has not registered with the U.S. government that there was huge financial support from the city of Shenzhen for the tech project inside China, which also included partnerships with Chinese companies that have since been sanctioned by the U.S. or accused of complicity in human rights abuses. The university has failed to declare a $220 million investment from the municipal government of Shenzhen to build a research campus in China. The money went directly to funding the new campus, which Berkeley does not own, not to UC Berkeley itself. A Berkeley spokesperson told the Daily Beast that the university had yet to declare the investment, announced in 2018, because the campus is still under construction. However, a former Department of Education official who used to help manage the department's foreign gifts and contracts disclosure program said that investment agreements must be disclosed within 6 months of signing, not when they are fully executed. Berkeley admitted that it had also failed to disclose to the U.S. government a $19 million contract in 2016 paid direct to Berkeley from Tsinghua University, which is controlled by the Chinese government's Ministry of Education. The project's Chinese backers promised lavish funding, state-of-the-art equipment, and smart PhD students for Berkeley academics researching national security-sensitive technologies, according to contract documents exclusively obtained by the Daily Beast. After the project got underway, Berkeley researchers granted Chinese officials private tours of their cutting-edge U.S. semiconductor facilities and gave priority commercialization rights for intellectual properties they produced to Chinese government-backed funds. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and over 90% of the most advanced ones. Most are manufactured by a single company, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, which alone produces 56% of the global market. National security experts believe Taiwan's central role within an industry central to the development of the modern economy forms the primary motive behind Beijing's aspirations of annexing the democratically elected island's government, and any increased knowledge of industries central to Taiwan's economy are likely preparations in the event of a successful annexation. Furthermore, patterns evident in the Microsoft's report on Chinese state-backed hacking enterprises suggest the Chinese state are planning to effect a communications blackout between the US and Asia, which if even partially achieved would significantly impede US and Asian allies' ability to respond to a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. A Barclay spokesman said that Barclay only pursued fundamental research through the project, meaning that all research projects were eventually publicly published and accessible to all. It did not conduct any proprietary research that exclusively benefited a Chinese entity. Still, Barclay's ties to the Chinese government and sanctioned Chinese companies are sure to raise eyebrows in Washington, where U.S. policymakers are increasingly concerned about the outflow of U.S. technology to China, especially those with military applications.